you're enjoying that retirement, I see.
Yeah, you can
So
say that. Yeah.
yeah. So before we close, feel free to, share any other upcoming projects that you're involved in, or
Yeah.
just anything else, like leaving us with some parting shots, words of wisdom. The floor is yours.
I don't know that I have any words of wisdom for your audience, LaTroy. I mean, let me thank you first of all for making this forum available to get word into our community, into the communities of color, particularly the Black community, because one of the things that I learned in my very first year as the NASA administrator, because of my background in education, my passion for education, it comes from my mom and dad. I convened an education summit at NASA headquarters for 2 days, and I brought in college presidents and heads of museums and you name it, and we filled up a conference room for 2 days, and we talked about things that NASA could do to promote STEM back then, but science, technology, engineering, and math. And one of the people who we had invited to participate was a young Black man who was the national president of the National Society of NSBE. Oh shoot, I can't believe this. It was the National Society of Black Engineers, and but it was the student chapter, and he was the national president. And because President Obama, when I interviewed with him, had talked about how he wanted to inspire Black kids again to want to go to space and to want to be engineers and scientists. And so I took the word from the president, and I talked about how we wanted to inspire young people to do all this stuff. And he sat there and listened to me for about half a day, and he finally raised his hand. He said, Administrator Bolden, if I hear you use the word inspire one more time, I'm gonna puke. I was taken aback. I mean, we're in this room with all these college presidents and stuff, and here's this young kid telling me I'm gonna make him puke. And I said, I beg your pardon? I said, what do you mean? He said, well, I appreciate your desire to want to inspire young people, but he said, we can't inspire anybody until they're informed. And he said, Black kids don't know what's available. And he made me immediately think back to my growing up in South Carolina. And if anybody had told me that I could be an engineer when I was in elementary and junior high school, even high school, I'd have told them, well, I love trains, but I don't want to drive a train, because that was an engineer in my life. We lived right on not right on, but we were not far away from the railroad tracks, as most Black communities were. And I love trains. I love riding on the train to Washington, D.C. and New York, but I never wanted to be an engineer, a train engineer. But I didn't know what engineers were, the kind that design and build things. And I thought about it, and I said, you're absolutely right. And so we changed our focus to trying to make it possible to inform young Black kids of what is available. They can do anything as long as they know it's there. That's why I say I applaud you for your forum, because what you're doing is you're trying to inform the community of what's available to us. And we can't do anything until we're so informed. Then we can inspire. And so, my mantra every time I go to a school or I speak to a professional group is, you got to study. I don't care how old you are, you got to study. You've always got to be trying to improve yourself. And the only way to do that is to study, study, study. Got to work hard. I talk about everybody wants to be a professional athlete of some kind. Every kid wants to be every young boy wants to be an NFL football player. You can't do that if you don't practice, if you don't work hard at it. So why should you expect to be good in your classroom if you don't study and work hard? And then the most important thing, which goes back to what my mom and dad told me, don't ever be afraid of failure. Don't not do something because somebody told you couldn't do it. Those words were the ones that came in my mind the night that those 2 white midshipmen came in my room. My mom and dad said, don't ever let anybody tell you what you cannot do. And that just kind of went right through me. So those are the 3 things I tell people: study hard, work hard, never, ever, ever be afraid of failure. I give that advice to people from 6 to 96. That's all I got.
Charlie, myself and the audience here at Stop, Look, and Listen, we're informed, we're inspired, and we're thankful to you for your contributions. And this was an amazing conversation. It's easily one of my favorite. For someone else that grew up in the state of South Carolina, when I was researching, I was like, I always try to think outside the box and get interviews are that are somewhat different. And I was like, I would love to speak to an astronaut. So I started doing my research on you and Dr. Bluford and Mae Jameson and Robert Satcher and countless others. But I wanted you because you're from South Carolina. And I'm just thankful for this opportunity.
Well, thank you very much, and best of luck to you and to everybody in your audience. Stay safe and healthy.
All right.